Hello. Hey. Oh, I'm in a different time zone. So I start my retreat in about 4 hours. So I thought I'd get a quick little midweek chat here. Actually, I have a few things to talk about, so it might not be so quick. But I wanted to go to a more scenic place, but this isn't bad, right? Those are lobster boats, I think. And I'm in Gloucester, Massachusetts. I almost said Gloucester, Maine, because I said lobster. But yeah, so I flew in yesterday to Boston, and I'm going to make my annual retreat in a kind of a special, extravagant way this year. It's a Jesuit retreat house on the coast of Massachusetts, coast of Gloucester. It's that way, about 3-4 miles. So I look forward to that. Then I'll kind of be out of touch for a week, and then I'll check in probably next Thursday when the retreat's over. So I'll pray for you. It was daily mass during the retreat. Otherwise, it's silent, except when I meet with the director, the priest who will be directing my retreat. So I think it was a good choice. I'm looking forward to it. I'm a little, whenever you take a deep look at life and are called to be super honest, which is always the key to prayer and any kind of retreat, it can be a little unsettling, I guess. So, but God is good, and I know the retreat starts with all that and how we're all precious children of God, and so it'll be good. It'll be good. So anyway, so that's what I'm doing out here in Gloucester, Massachusetts. I have a really good friend from years ago I hadn't seen in 20 years, and I met. She picked me up at the airport, and is a pastor just up that way, about 2 miles, maybe 3 miles, in Anasquim, a little neighborhood of Gloucester. And I'd forgot that she was in the area until after I made this reservation for this retreat. And I'm like, oh, I can call up my friend. And she's been awesome. She took me all over the place, and we went out to eat. And then I met her husband. We took a 3-mile walk in a beautiful, beautiful neighborhood in Anasquim by Gloucester. And so it was really a lovely day. And so it's like I have a personal shuttle bus whenever she's going to take me out to the retreat center today. So I was all worried about it, getting Ubers and public transportation and all that. And I'm spoiled once again. I don't have to worry about any of that. So, but it's really windy today. There's a big storm coming in. Inland, there's going to be a lot of snow. We won't get that, but we'll get rain and sleet, I guess. And I think it'll actually be very nice. I'm sorry for the people here that inconvenience us, but I'll be checked in. I'll be at my seaside retreat room, and let the winds come, let the rains fall. And I'm kind of looking forward to the rough seas and the waves crashing on the rocks. And but even right now, it's getting quite windy. It's going to rain in about 45 minutes, so that's why I wanted to be more near the coast and beautiful rock formations. But this is nice, right? Oh, we had all-you-can-eat haddock. She took me to some place called all-you-can-eat haddock lunch yesterday. That was incredible. Lightly breaded, just beautiful stuff. And then last night she went home to be with her family, and just right across the street, there's a place that had on its menu like all my favorite stuff. I went with the fried whole clams, not clam strips, fried whole clams. So I'm like, but it's good stuff. They had something called lobster pie, which was like lobster already shelled with breadcrumb and butter. That would have been good, They had swordfish tips. Kind of when I'm here, I want to have like the seafoodies. Well, I probably might have been healthier. I might have been good. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling about food, but it's just so great. So good stuff. Such great stuff. Anyway, so got some parish news, actually, even though I'm out here. Something kind of exciting and something kind of sad and bittersweet. But so the closings of the 2 hospitals in the Chippewa Valley, St. Joseph's in Chippewa Falls, and Sacred Heart in Eau Claire, and then the Prevea clinics, continuing to see people in church affected by that, and some people have found new jobs. Other people are still looking. Some of our great parishioners are nurses and haven't really found anything yet, and so I'm sorry for that. I sure hope we can keep them in the Chippewa Valley. They want to stay in the Chippewa Valley. Oh, we miss them dearly. So one of the things that was happening was Father James, our dean, contacted the people and said, what are you doing with all of the liturgical things in the hospital chapels, like vestments and, just all the things in the chapels. And really throughout the hospital. See, it's getting windy again. I'm trying to block it with this book here. I got my... I thought the wind was coming from... This is a glass, by the way, in case it looks a little shiny. That's why I'm set up here. But, so they said, yeah, we'd like, there are places, the people from the HSHS said there are places we could take all the art and things, but they were given to this hospital, and for this hospital, we'd like to stay in the community, so if anybody wants anything. So, we got a few art pieces and some, purificators for Mass, and it's kind of a very grim duty. I went with Wayne, and Christine is going with Nick, and Jackie went up to the St. Joseph Hospital, and I think got some vestments for our Dove West Chapel when we have daily Mass there on Thursdays. But one of the things that was available was the tabernacle in the Sacred Heart Chapel, where the Blessed Sacrament is kept, and it's beautiful. And frankly, ours is functional, but I wouldn't call it beautiful. And this one's a little bit smaller, but still. Anyway, with Wayne's help, it was very heavy. It's like solid brass. And we got it set up, so you can check that out. It's a little piece of Sacred Heart Hospital that'll be in St. James Church, the tabernacle to the chapel there. And on the side, it's invisible, which is good if you just look at it. But if you really want to look, you crane over to this lower left side of the tabernacle in the back, and there's a little plaque about that size that says donated to Sacred Heart Chapel in memory of Monsignor Edmund Klimek, who was chaplain here for 45 years, and so it's nice to have a little bit of Father Klimek, his memory in church, and the tabernacle. So sad as it is, the circumstances by which it came to St. James, I'm glad that we were able to find a very good place for it. Yeah, well, I also got like a big portrait of Father Klimek. I'm not sure where to put it. Maybe in Rourke Hall, but it's Rourke Hall. It's Father Rourke's Hall. But maybe it's just a nice color portrait of him that was outside the Father Klimek auditorium. And, he's just a huge part of Eau Claire Catholic Church history. And so many people have beautiful memories of him. So... anyway, so we have some things like that came to us recently, and they're, let's see. Well, we had Easter. This is the octave of Easter, they call it, the 8 days of following Easter Sunday. And I'm sorry to miss it. I had this all set up. I was going to go to the Holy Land, leaving tomorrow with the group, and we canceled because of the war and the instability there. So since I had the time off scheduled and priests coming in to cover on weekends, I thought I would take advantage. And then I have a milestone birthday coming up this week, so it's good. I feel good about it, but I do miss being in the parish and the octave of Easter and the Doubting Thomas Gospel that'll be this Sunday, and then the next Sunday will be the Road to Emmaus, which is such a beautiful gospel to share. And here I am out in Massachusetts. But Easter was just such a lovely, as always, just very moved witnessing the veneration of the cross by all the parishioners coming up to kiss or kneel before or touch the cross. And as a pastor, it was really doubly touching this year. It was pretty much a home crowd. Sometimes on Good Friday or those feast days, you'll get a lot of faces that you don't recognize because they're, which is fine because of schedules or whatever. But I would say I felt like I knew just a little bit of the stories, or of like 80% of the people there, So to watch people come up and venerate the cross and knowing who they are and having talked to them, and it was just very moving. And honestly, it really just made me want to be a better pastor. It's like, wow, all these great people here, and look at their deep faith, and I want to catch that. I want to deepen my faith, and then I want to be able to, help people's faith along, as we all do. It's a common baptismal call. I don't know. I mention it at church a lot. It's not just words. I say thank you, servers, thank you, musicians, and thank you for everybody here that gave voice to our prayer today. It's just very, very, very important, your presence and your participation. And faith is contagious. Faith is caught, not taught, they say. So we put a lot of time and energy into teaching the faith, and it's not unimportant. Whoa, look at that. But living the faith is even more important. Showing up and serving one another. Wonder why that fell. It just kind of slipped off. I got a little chair. I'm not sure I'm supposed to be here. Those little igloo kind of things they put up during COVID for people to go out to eat so they wouldn't be in the restaurant. I'm in a little village of igloos, and I don't think people can see me. But I stole a little chair to put this on, and I see the door. The chair was there for a purpose. It was supposed to keep a door that wouldn't latch closed, and I see that door is open now, so I better make sure to take that back, right? Anyway, so Good Friday was very inspiring to me as always. Holy Thursday and the washing of the feet, the feast before the fast at the Pizza Ranch, just all less than a week ago still, but it seems like a long time ago. A lot of people put a lot of work into that, and then it's over, right? But it's good to celebrate those high holy days well. And I think we did. Easter Vigil, we had a few moments of drama, nothing too bad. We had Caitlin. We thought maybe Caitlin fled like the women at the tomb. They fled and they told no one anything, for they were afraid. We baptized Caitlin, and then she went to go take her brown in privacy, to take her brown alb off and to put her white alb on. So she left the church space, went to the office area. I don't know how long it took, but it took a long time. It's like, is she coming back, or did she flee? She realizes the enormity of the call to live the baptized life, and just got to her, so she snuck out the back door or something. But no, she came back, and that was good. and then we had Mike and Brad and Craig, and then Susan. And Susan became Catholic, and like a lot of people in mixed creed marriages, when they were married, they didn't marry in the Catholic Church. So see, that's that wind again. And so anyway, said, you want to have that marriage blessed and recognized in the church? Let's just go ahead and do it after you become Catholic at the vigil, And you can have your marriages recognized by the Catholic Church. You don't have to be Catholic. Well, one of them does. One of them, but husband or wife. But so I didn't mean like now they're able to have their wedding blessed because they're both Catholic. That's not what I did. But since we were celebrating her coming into the church, let's bless that marriage. So that was fun, and we did that after communion. Just took about 3 minutes. I got a little bit chastised for not having them kiss because people wanted that, and but it was good. They were touched. They really a nice couple, and they're older, and they need each other's support every day, like we always do, but sometimes it's more obvious. But so, okay, let's see, what do we got? So that was great. Easter and the tabernacle. What else? Let's see. Parish stuff. Oh, I should say my host here who picked me up at the airport, she's this pastor. She was on the cover of the local section of the Boston Globe yesterday, preaching Easter. They had a story on area churches that celebrated Easter, and it was basically Cardinal O'Malley from Boston and her. And they're, different spaces and different services. But I thought, wow. So we took this walk, her husband and she and I, and it's like everybody we walked by, hey, we saw you in the Boston Globe yesterday. She's like, yeah. So, anyway, it was really cool. So, Easter debrief. I read an article, so much is on. I'll talk a little about Gaza, though, too. So the Gaza thing is just awful. We've heard about all the humanitarian workers that were killed and injured in strikes that I guess were a mistake. I forget the name of it, but they make food. So they were taking all this food in and preparing it for people. And 7 of them were killed in a bomb. And then I think there was another group with humanitarian workers. And it's just really grievous. And the world's really reacting to that. And I don't know. I just hope that thing comes to an end soon. So devastating. So this Gaza Parish Holy Family, I try to read updates and tell you about it. I saw another update yesterday. It seems like they've resumed daily mass. I mentioned that over Easter that they quit daily mass for a while because the scarcity of flour to make bread to keep people alive. And so, because I read it an allusion to the fact that they celebrated daily mass. So I think that's back on. They have 3 meals, so thanks to the generosity of, I don't think money's the problem, it's more logistics, but the Latin Patriarchate, or what we call the Archdiocese of Jerusalem, though it is, see, in Jerusalem there's all these different forms of Catholicism. They're all like under the Pope, but there's like the Greek Catholics, the Ethiopian Catholics, and then, so the Latin Catholics are the ones that we're Latin Catholics, almost all of us. So anyway, they call him the Latin Patriarch, the Archbishop. So anyway, that's just an aside. But they start supporting it because it's under their authority. 3 meals a week. They get enough for 3 meals a week. No meat. They haven't had meat in 2 months. There's 550 to 600 people at that parish. There's been 30 deaths of parishioners. 90% of the people there have had their homes destroyed, and so they're living in this. There's basically a refugee camp on the grounds of the parish. And they just interviewed different people. Some they try to be hopeful with Easter. One of them said, the greater. A guy who works for Caritas, International Relief Agency, said, the greater the cross, the closer we are to the joy of the resurrection. The greater the cross, the closest to the joy of the resurrection. I mean, that's faith, right? And then a comment that they hope that the joy of the resurrection would be social and spiritual. So not simply Christ rising in our hearts, but us being able to live in peace together and resume a dignified life, the social resurrection. So we hope so. 24-year-old woman, I think she maybe was a mother. May the war end without me losing my children and others that I love, and that I'd be able to leave Gaza. Yeah. And so a lot of people be leaving. We'll see if there's a Christian community that remains in Gaza after this war. It's questionable. This Patriarch of Jerusalem it's a hard call, but he's sort of asking people to stay. I mean, it's like his life is just one of the hardest places to live in the world. And he's saying, we need Christians here. We need the witness. Try, don't emigrate. And then the priest there, the pastor, hasn't been able to go back. So he's in Jerusalem. So there's an associate. Can you imagine just sort of being the assistant priest, and all of a sudden you're in charge of this place where all the world's attention is, And he doesn't say much. He's a rare interview, but in a rare quote that they had in this article, all he said was, "I thank God for being a priest." I thank God for being a priest. It reminds me of that Wilton Gregory quote a few weeks ago that people liked, that I never, when he was during the sexual abuse crisis, when at its peak, he was the head of the U.S. Catholic bishops, and so a lot of responsibility, a lot of visibility. And he said he was so grateful he could be in that role lot of people just shudder, like, oh, what bad timing, I have to do this now. He said, because you never love people more than when they're weak and when they need you. And he said, the church needed me then, and I really loved them then. And it just seems, that reminded me of this Father Assad. I thank God for being a priest here in Gaza at this time. So the other thing I was reading, of course, Ukraine goes on, but Nigeria have such awful stuff for not just all of a sudden, but for over the years. There's a lot of persecution of Christians in Nigeria. Just this past Christmas, there were attacks on churches. 200 people died. 18,000 people were displaced, refugees. And so there was an article about Nigeria and how they celebrated Easter. The Easter Vigil. We always try to make Easter Vigil so it's dark, so we can walk in. I hope that was okay with people. There was always a debate: do we put lights on when people are walking in church, or do we keep it dark? And I feel it's so meaningful, even to grope a little bit. It's like we're the people groping in darkness, waiting for the light of the world to come, and making our way through the darkness to find our seats. And then gradually your eyes adjust a little bit. But the only light in church is supposed to be the Easter candle itself, Christ our only hope. And so darkness is important. But anyway, in this Nigerian area, they did the Easter Vigil in daylight, during the day. Why? Because they're afraid that as the gunmen came on Christmas night, that they would come back on the night before Easter with guns and violence. So isn't that something? But I don't believe there are any incidents of violence on Easter there. But people just said, I wonder if we'll make it. But this night the tears have stopped because the joyful outcome of Easter. I'm closer to God than ever before because He is the only one who can help us. My faith keeps me going. We were deprived of Christmas because of the violence. We won't be deprived of Easter, I hope. We pray for God to give us new life as He gave it to Jesus. And Jesus rose. Oh no, but yeah. I think this is very important as far as the Easter spirituality. We pray for God to give us new life as He gave it to Jesus. This is us entering the story of salvation, the Paschal mystery, the dying and rising. I allude to that a lot, and that's it in action. We are praying to the God who raised Jesus from the dead. We are suffering. We feel persecuted. May He raise us. May He bring us to safety, security, prosperity, ability to serve the world with joy and generosity once again, and not live in fear. And so just a lot of Easter spirituality, just living through persecution. It's one of those things. We're closest to God when we're hurting sometimes. Be nice if we could be closest to God while we were eating fried clams at a restaurant in Massachusetts, but it's usually when we're in harder situations we know we really need God, right? So some testimony to that. So I'll be going off on a retreat, and I ask you for your prayers. I probably did that already, but I'm really serious about that. I really I hope it's a good 8 days of coming back more. I know the Ignatian exercises, they're about, so St. Ignatius, Ignatian exercises, spiritual exercises. I think I mentioned last time, they start, but you're beloved by God, it's all grace, you're so blessed. And then the ministry of Jesus, getting to know Jesus more, and then His death and His sin, and how human beings were part of that, and then looking at your own sin. And that's, I don't know, I feel like I can do that pretty well, but I'm still a little afraid to take a deep dive into that, and but I'll have a director, so I'll be good. And then redemption, and call and being sent. So the idea is really to get people who live for God. It's St. Paul. You die to an old self, you rise to a new self. The old self was centered on oneself. The new self lives for God. That's our Easter epistle. So what more can I do? The exercises are full of things, little images like, there's two flags. There's the flag that follows kind of evil and the flag that follows Christ. And you got to pick one and just, don't straddle the line, but just pick one and go full bore in it. And what more? I forget they call it the magus. It's a Jesuit Ignatian phrase. It's like, what more? As you mature and a disciple, you should be asking yourself, what more can I do for Christ? What am I doing for Christ? What have I done for Christ? What will I do for Christ? What more can I do for Christ? So that's that spirit of St. Ignatius. And so I'll be getting a heavy dose of that, I think, in the next 8 days. And hopefully that'll bear fruit and for St. James, for the church through my ministry. So, and I think everybody there I think you'll enjoy Father Parr when he subs on weekends. Great guy, humble guy. If you want to do a little test, give him compliments and see how quickly he bats them away. He just I don't know if it's humility or what, but he doesn't sit with a compliment more than a half second. And staff there is just so good. I don't think this week's, but maybe next week's bulletin, I write about a little bit about the staff and how great they are and the parish as a whole. I think we're in a really good place right now. So may that continue. All right. So God bless you, everybody. As we look at this little marina, I'd move it around, but there's not too much to see beyond this. This is the river, and it dumps into the Atlantic Ocean, just a couple miles up there, or maybe just 1 mile. So okay. And may the power of the Lord's resurrection fill the hearts of his people. May it bring spiritual resurrection and social resurrection to those who live in fear in the midst of violence, who live with injustice, that we may learn to live with one another well, and animated by the joy of the risen Christ, treat each other with great generosity and kindness and fairness. God bless you all. Bye-bye.